welcome to Envision. I'm Ben Schumacher, Communications Specialist for the Sioux Falls School District. I'm joined by Dr. Brian Maher, our Superintendent. And today we're talking a little bit about juvenile justice reform. I know there have been some recent meetings with local authorities and school leaders. Tell me a little bit about the discussions and what's happening behind the scenes a little bit.
Yeah, what a great question. The juvenile justice system in the state of South Dakota has changed over the last several years. As part of those changes, several school administrators were talking about the impact that those changes are having on their school. Some of those conversations were positive in nature, some of those conversations were negative in nature. So as a state, we were encouraged to have local conversations, to talk to judges, to talk to law enforcement, to talk to behavioral health professionals, to talk to legislators about what's this looking like locally. So one of the things we did here in the Sioux Falls School District was had a conversation with our neighbors. All of the school districts that are contiguous with the Sioux Falls School District, we just invited in for a conversation. Mr. Jamie Nold, Assistant Superintendent here in our school district, and myself had a meeting where we had probably about 10 school districts where we just had conversations about what does this look like in your school? What has the change in the juvenile justice system meant to your particular school district? Out of that meeting, we thought, we need to bring more people into this conversation. So it was at that point where we decided to have a little broader conversation. And from that, we had two conversations locally. One we held at the West Central schools to our north, and the other we held at the Harrisburg schools to our south, and had invited in legislators, behavioral health folks. We invited in representatives from the governor's office, and I'm probably missing a group or so. But to just have a conversation, school administrators were certainly a part of that, to have a conversation about what's this look like in your specific school. So that's the emphasis on that conversation, and that's the impetus behind putting those meetings together. In those meetings, one of the things that we really found was we need to go from those fairly local conversations to very local conversations. And what we're going to do in the Sioux Falls School District is actually sit in a room with the judicial branch, with law enforcement, and with behavioral health and school administrators, and say, how is this working in our schools? And specifically address those issues that are pertinent to the Sioux Falls School District. And I think that's where the real impact will happen, is when we actually sit in the room and talk to each other about our expectations of one another. I would first of all say that when I look at the juvenile justice system over time, I wouldn't say today that it's good, I wouldn't say that it's bad, and I wouldn't say that it's indifferent. I would simply say that it's in transition. And I think as a school leader, it's incumbent upon me, it's incumbent upon us as a school district to really make sure that conversation is held. And maybe in 6 months or maybe in a year, we'll know if the reform movement has been a good movement or not.
So a lot more to learn in the process, and it sounds like each community is going to kind of take ownership, because each school's students are different. Each community has its own challenges and different family dynamics and things like that. So that's kind of the goal.
That's exactly right. And as you were speaking there, Ben, one of the things I'm reminded of is we're really fortunate in Sioux Falls in that we have a number of resources available to us. So I don't feel like anything has been taken away from us at this point. What I feel like we need to do is have those conversations locally, figure out what resources are available to us, and then serve kids the best that we can serve them. And I really think that's the path we're headed down. So again, at this point, it's not good, it's not bad, it's not indifferent, it's just in progress. And I'm optimistic about where we're headed as a school district in conjunction with the juvenile justice reform system.
I think it's great that we're working with all these entities to do what's best for kids.
And maybe one other thing is not all of those conversations have been comfortable. So people aren't coming together and giving each other warm and fuzzy conversations. Some of them have been direct. Some of them have been awkward and uncomfortable, but hopefully in the end, after having that discomfort, as long as we don't get disagreeable, working through that discomfort, I think we're going to be able to serve kids better. I truly believe that.
Absolutely. So we'll look forward to progress on that front in the future, and we'll have probably much more to report on the topic. So thank you for joining us on this episode of Envision.